Happy newspaper day to us all. Dylan posed a question in an email that's not exactly a short-winded answer, so I figured I would go ahead and make a video of campaigns, candidates, and elections, and how we do things as far as a community newspaper. Maybe give you all some background to it and the rules. There are rules to this, and we deal with a lot of campaigns, so sticking to the rules and being consistent is probably one of the most important things we can do when we're dealing with campaigns, elections, and candidates in general. So, get a pen and paper. I'm not writing all of this down, so I'll give you a minute. Get a copy, get a pen, get a paper, get ready to take some notes. That is a lovely coffee mug, isn't it? Okay, if that wasn't enough time, make sure you hit the pause button. You're not going to want to miss a single word of this wonderful knowledge I'm going to bestow. First, a little background. For many, many years, community newspapers, along with newspapers, would endorse candidates. The goal of that was the candidates' ideas and beliefs fit closely in with that of the newspaper. Um, we don't do that anymore for several reasons. The first of which, when our candidate loses, we look stupid. Like we don't know what we're talking about, or we're ineffective in promoting and endorsing. Doesn't look good when your candidate loses. I've seen it happen over and over and over again, and it's just not a good look. The other thing is it costs us money. If we are endorsing Bob Willis for county commissioner and he loses, we look stupid. And Zach Thomas, who was running against him, didn't buy a single ad because he knew the newspaper wasn't supporting him. So we stopped all of that. At least the community newspapers did. You'll still find some of the metros will do it. For the life of me, I can't tell you why. Please hold. We have a big siren going off. Okay, so we don't do any endorsements whatsoever. What we do is we offer what I call a fair election practice policy. Okay, and that means very simply what we do for one, we do for all. So let's start on the editorial side of things. The first thing we do is we offer a campaign bio or a candidate bio. Dylan, this should interest you. Sit down and write 5 generic questions. Those questions, besides their name, how long they've been living in whatever city in our county, position they're running for, whether they're incumbent or if they're newly seeking the office, those questions can be things like, where do you see your office if elected by the end of your term? What are your goals for the office? Um, Things like that. All right. I can also tell you that personal questions play very well in these things. How long have you been married? How many children do you have? What schools are they in? What age are they? Just come up with 7 or 10 questions, okay, and build it on an 8.5 by 11, and you hand that to every candidate and ask them to fill it out. What we do not do is we do not run candidate bios that are submitted to us. We rewrite them, okay? We ask them to fill out the form so that we can create the article. Why do we do that? So that we can keep the word count the same, around 500 words per candidate, okay? Some of these guys and gals could write until the cows come home, and we don't have the space for that. And then some of them couldn't write to save their lives, and we have to dream up stuff just to try to fill the space and make an article out of their gibberish. So it's fair. Each candidate gets the opportunity to fill out the questionnaire, and each candidate gets a bio written up. It also includes a photo. Okay, they can supply a photo to us. That's fine. Some of them will have nice headshots taken. Some of them will be a selfie. All right. It really depends on the candidate and the position, so forth and so on. Photo, bio, 500 words, all done off the questionnaire sheet. Okay? So, where do we find these candidates? It's very simple. You have an election commission, okay, for Hardin County. So, the Hardin County Election Commission, or election center or whatever they call it there will have a list of people who have signed up and the positions they seek. Do we need to waste space on unopposed incumbents? Absolutely not. Okay? We do not offer bios to unopposed candidates unless they're new. Okay? People in the county should know who their incumbents are. If they don't know their incumbents or that they're rerunning, that doesn't matter. They know that Bob is sitting on the city council over there in, you know, Coons. And if he's seeking re-election and no one's running against him, there's no need to waste space for it. All right. So, if Bob is brand new and is running unopposed on the Coons City Council, we absolutely want to tell people about Bob and get him to fill that out. Now, what if they don't fill it out? If they don't fill it out, they don't fill it out, man. I mean, you know, we're going to set it up. We'll send it as a PDF file. We'll encourage them to respond. This is a free opportunity for them to promote themselves and promote their candidacy and to share their ideas and why we should vote for them. If they don't want to take us up on that, that's fine. We're not in the business of hounding people. If we have readers go, hey, why didn't you do Bob? Well, we didn't do Bob because Bob didn't send in his stuff. It's very simple. You will find that a lot of incumbents that are running unopposed will not respond. They don't care. They've already won the election, so they don't need us. So they won't do anything. Okay? You'll find that the new people running unopposed are just giddy with joy that they don't have an opponent and that they're going to get in no matter what. So they may or may not respond. On folks like that, I try to encourage them to do more of a meet your new going to be newly elected official. You know, get some background on that person if possible. If not, what you gonna do? We ain't gonna do nothing. All right. You will get tons of the response out of people who have an opponent for obvious reasons. How I like to run these. I like to run them side by side. If we have 6 sheriffs running for sheriff, okay, I will try to get them all together at one time. And when you have that kind of a situation, setting a deadline for which paper we're going to put them in is the absolutely important thing to do. Hey, Sheriff Wannabe, we need this back by such and such date. And we will run all 6 sheriffs in alphabetical order with the exception of the incumbent comes first. Okay? That's the right of the office. The incumbent comes first. And then it's alphabetical order after that. That's how we do it. It's very simple and it's defendable. And guys, that's the key to a successful campaign, candidates, and election policy is it's fair, it's consistent, it's defendable. Okay, why did you do that? It's alphabetical. Oh, well, I didn't even realize. Well, we always run the incumbent first, but the rest are alphabetical. Okay, if there are 2 candidates, the incumbent comes first. It's just the way it goes. It's the right of the office. That's how they will appear in the paper. I like to do all the candidates of that office that are seeking an office together. Sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 offices, okay, but I like to do them all at once. It's easier for people to look at this thing side by side and say, okay, here's all my sheriffs. Let me read this and see which one I like the most. Okay, not one week here's 2 sheriffs, next week here's a sheriff, next week there's 4 sheriffs. That's a real pain in the ass because you gotta, compile your sheriffs. It's terrible. All right, that is pretty much the editorial side of things. When in doubt, always err on the side of fair, consistent, defendable. Okay, why did we do that way? There's always a good answer for that, and as long as it's fair, consistent, we're in great shape. All right. That is free. Okay? That one-time editorial write-up that we produce is free. Does the candidate get to see the write-up before it prints? Absolutely not. Okay? The write-up is very, very generic, straightforward. Bob is married to Sally with 3 children, ages 8, 12, and 16, all attending Kuntz ISD. Okay, Bob graduated from the University of Texas with a bachelor's degree in basket weaving. Bob wants to sit on the city council in Kuntz and own such and such business or whatever. Generic, very generic and very straight to the point. It's straight reporting. All right. If Bob has done anything else in his life, we've either already covered it or it wasn't important enough to cover. If Bob does anything after the bio that's important or not important, we talk about it. Okay? If Bob gets arrested a week and a half before the election, it's going in the paper. That's a gimme, right? All right. If Bob attends a ribbon cutting, that's not going in the paper unless the ribbon cutting's for a new business and the new business is the ribbon cutting for the new business. The focus, I mean, not the fact Bob was there. Okay? Bob and his group of merry campaign people will want to send you every little thing Bob is doing. Okay? We do not have room for Bob and Bob's travels and his life experiences. We just don't. Now, if Bob wins the Nobel Peace Prize, that's different. What this is called is editorial effect on a campaign. It's when you write something and you think this could have an effect on the campaign's outcome. We don't do that. We don't use editorial to affect the campaign's outcome. Okay? You'll see this in other places, guys. We're not the only ones that do this. Your district attorney will not do this. Okay? If somebody comes to him with a charge of, let's say, election tampering for a candidate, one group says that the other group has been tampering with the election, vote harvesting or, absentee ballot, any kind of an accusation, that will spur an investigation. Is that investigation a news story? No, it's not yet. And the reason is if we were to write that story, it's an accusation, it's allegations, it's speculation, and it's an investigation. Okay? We would hinder the outcome of the election by saying Bob has been vote harvesting, according to Cindy over at the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, whoever charged him with this or accuses him of this. That's a problem because it's used as a weapon, and I've seen it before. It cost a candidate an election over here in Robertson County in 2016 by 72 votes. Okay, and if you want that story, I'll tell it to you later. But it was devastating, and it was a bad move. We didn't even write the story until we had to. So we don't do it. Like the DA, who will not investigate that story until the close of the election, by the way. At least mine won't. Again, he doesn't want to affect the outcome of the election by his actions. If he were to open the investigation right then, like mine did in 2016 and will never do again, he becomes a news story, not just for us, but for TV stations, radio stations, other newspapers, bloggers, okay, the internet, Facebook. All of a sudden, because the DA has started an investigation on a candidate, it becomes news. All right? And that investigation has no more bearing than an accusation. So you're tried in the press way before the election, and it will cost that candidate, for the most part, his opportunity, whether it's true or not. Now, you're thinking, but what if it's true? Well, if it's true and he gets elected, most of these crimes that we're talking about are an impeachable offense. Okay? A county judge can be removed from his seat for things like tampering with votes, vote harvesting, tampering with the election campaign fraud, funding frauds, and all the other class felonies out there. Okay? He can be removed. Now, is it easy? No. but it can happen, and his life will be miserable should he get elected and then the investigation proves he's guilty. First off, he's going to jail or he's picking up probation. Then he's going to be voted to be removed by the sitting, in this case, let's say it's a county judge. Commissioners will vote to remove him. The attorney general will come down. They'll actually remove him. We'll appoint an interim. This guy will go to jail. It's just a bad thing. So, the accusation, if someone's actually doing some of these bad things, the accusation is typically enough to get them to go away. And in fact, using the position of publisher, I've had several incidents where candidates have backed out because of information I had. They didn't want it made public, and they would rather not seek public office so that they would no longer have a need for me to write a story. And I will give you an example of this. I had a county commissioner, not a commissioner, I'm sorry, a constable running for public office. He was wanting to be a first-time constable in Precinct 1. He was running against another guy who's ex-military, 30 years, also a first-time constable. The seat had been vacated, so these two go head-to-head. They know each other. Well, one's obviously a little older than the other, and the younger one faces a reprimand at a local police force that he's working for family violence. Now, the facts of the case never came out. The report never happened. This guy quit his job, moved on to another city, and then several years later came back to run for this office. Well, while we didn't have anything concrete on the young man at the time of his return and his filing to run for office, the victim's mother and the victim herself, which happened to be his wife and his girlfriend, by the way, sent over audio recordings to us that clearly shows the family violence. It was more than enough. So instead of posting those, was my recommendation to him was to drop out of the race. That case had been solved already, and whatever, the outcome had already been determined. I got the court records, and all he had to do was drop out of the race, and he would be no longer of any public interest, so the story wouldn't have to be told. There was no need to tell it if he wasn't running for office. There's a big need to tell it if he is. He decided not to drop out, which was a shame for him, because at which point we unleashed the entire fury that we had, which was 6 audio recordings, all of the court paperwork, the restitution, the penalties, everything. And he lost the election 72% to 28%. The other guy won it hands down, and we won it for him. Now, was the other guy a better choice? Probably, because he's not out committing crimes. But we were certainly faced, in my opinion, in that situation with the lesser of two evils. And we got the lesser of the two evils. Had he dropped out of the race, none of that would have had to have happened. And I told him that in a phone call. But either way, that's fair. To give him the opportunity to drop out was fair. Because, let's face it, why destroy this kid's life? He was 28 years old at the time, in the press and in the public, when the courts had already closed that case and yada yada yada. It was behind him by this point. Unfortunately for him, we're not bound to the laws of the court. The laws of the court state if this young man were to commit another offense, you cannot bring up his previous conviction unless it's in direct relation to the current new offense. And that doesn't work for us. We don't have that problem. Okay? If you commit family violence 12 years ago and want to run for public office, we can expose that, and more than likely we will. But I like to give them a moment of pause and to think it through before we have to go and destroy their lives. Okay. So, just a little recap on this. We do a bio, 500 words. We write the questions. They fill out the questionnaire. We include a photo. Try to gang all the offices up together when we print them. And that is the free thing we do. What is not the free things we do? Let's talk about advertising for a moment. First off, they do not have to buy an ad to get the bio piece that we've discussed. We're going to offer that bio piece for free for all of them, okay? Including incumbents that are unopposed. We make sure that everybody gets a copy of this election packet in their hands, okay, and are given the opportunity. All right, let's talk about advertising. Campaign ads are billed as regular ROP rate, regular special section rate if they're going in a special section, regular poster rate if they're going on a poster, regular rate. It's not less, it's not more, it's identically the same as everybody else. Okay? Each candidate pays exactly the same thing. If we offer the open rate of ROP rate of $8.25 a column inch for a black and white ad to candidate A, candidate B gets exactly the same rate. Okay? Advertising is auditable through the election center. One candidate can make a claim that we gave advertising cheaper to another candidate, their opponent, for example. Okay? We can actually be sued by the Attorney General's office for doing that. I'm going to let that sink in. If we offer discounted rates to one candidate versus another, we can be sued. Okay? It is in the election laws. Okay? Not good. We don't do it. Everybody pays the same thing. Now, everybody prepays before an ad runs. And I want to make this very, very, very clear. All advertising that is campaign related is a prepaid ad. Don't care who they are. It's the law. Because they turn in a financial report that states how much money they spent on their campaign. Signs, banners, t-shirts, advertising, everything. Okay? They have to file that report with the election center. Some file it monthly, some file it weekly. It just depends on how big the election is. Some file it daily. Okay? They can't file, say the ad was $500. They can't file that $500 if they haven't paid for it. Okay? So if they put it on the form that they spent $500 and they haven't paid for it yet, that's even a bigger no-no. All right? It is the law. And to prove it, you've seen it on every sign, campaign ad, t-shirt, no matter what. And this is also a requirement for advertising. At the bottom, there is a single line that reads paid political advertising by the candidate himself, the treasurer, whomever has that person's name, their position, and the address. So paid political ad by Bob Smith for County Commissioner, Silsbee, Texas, 77656. Okay. Paid political ad by Jill Smith, treasurer, Bill Bob's whatever campaign for such and such, Silsbee, Texas. That label, political advertising label, must appear on every single political ad that we produce, bar none, without exception. Okay? We're in violation if it doesn't, and so are they. It's a no-no. Now let's think about how that's worded. Paid political ad. It's right there. Okay? It says this ad is paid for, not payment pending political ad. So, all campaign ads are prepaid, bar none. What else is a political ad? Because obviously you see the ad that says, vote for Bob for county commissioner. Stars all over it, little bio background, yada, 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 paid ad at the bottom. You can tell what that one is. What else is a paid political ad? Endorsement ads. Write this one down. Okay? Cindy Lou down the street likes Bob. Okay, she likes him for county commissioner to the point that she sends us a letter and says, I'm Cindy Lou from down the street and I like Bob and I think you should vote for Bob. Cool. They're called endorsement letters and they are political ads. They are not letters to the editor. Now, some community newspapers have gotten in the habit of accepting those as letters to the editor. We do not. They go in a box and they have a little stamp on the bottom that says paid political ad by Cindy Lou for Bob for county commissioner, Silsbee, Texas 77656. Okay? The reason for that is a flood. Okay? You're stopping a flood, literally. If you have a hot contested campaign race and Bob is running against John and boy, they're just going at it. All right, they're going to go to their people and say, "Hey, write a letter to the editor for the paper, endorsing me." They're going to go to the sheriff's office and say, "Hey, sheriff, can you endorse me?" Yes, great. Will you put that in a letter to the editor and send it in? Yes, I will. Cool. The problem is, you're going to get so many of them. There's no room to fit them all. Okay, so to weed that out, they're political ads. Now he's got to go to the sheriff and say, "Hey, sheriff, will you endorse me?" And the sheriff's going to say, "Absolutely." And he's going to say, "Great. Will you buy an ad?" Okay? And the sheriff will not buy an ad. I promise you. However, the candidate may go, "That's a pretty good endorsement. I think I'll buy an ad." And so he'll ask the sheriff, "Will you write me a letter so I can buy an ad and put it in the paper?" And the sheriff goes, "Sure, I'll write you a letter." And all of a sudden, we've got another ad, right? All right. Discounts, premiums, positions, there are no such things. Okay? There are no discounts. It's not buy 3 ads, get fourth ad free. Every ad is paid for, every ad is billed the same. Okay? It's prepaid, whether it's credit card that clears, check, cash, don't care. Let's say they want 4 ads in the paper and you're laughing. You're thinking, my God, who would put 4 ads in the paper? I've seen worse. Okay? I've seen ads on every page. There are no discounts. A top banner ad, what it says on the rate card is a top banner ad. Do we have any top banner ad spots open? Well, we do on the back page. We do not on the front page. We're not kicking out the air conditioning guy for a campaign ad. We're not kicking off one of the 2x2s at the bottom of the page for a candidate. Okay? They can't ask for those because they're gone. All right? Now, I have seen this happen. Bob's a friend of the air conditioning guy and says, "Hey, would you mind moving that ad or killing your ad so I can have that spot?" And you're thinking, wow, that would suck. Now we lose money, or what we're doing is trading money so that Bob can have the top banner ad. We have right of refusal. Okay? That basically our response to him is we have an ad there, they have a commitment, and they've been with us. Oh, well, they told me that they were going to kill their ad so that I could do this. Well, that doesn't really sit well with me, Bob, because you're costing me money. That's a conversation I'll have with them. Well, they still said they'd do it for me. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and kill their ad, but I'm not going to give you that spot. Okay? And again, this is why it's a conversation I have to have, because I have to be able to rebuttal Bob, and I don't want to put anybody in that position over there to have to deal with these kind of situations. I have seen it happen. Okay? I have made the decision to go ahead and let it happen, and I'll tell you why. Because the front banner ad guy moved his ad inside. He didn't kill his ad. Okay? When I explained it to the candidate, I said, "You're costing me money, I think I'll just either leave him there or find somebody else for that spot, unless your air conditioning guy is willing for us to build a like ad, and I don't lose money out of this deal." Okay? It might seem a little strong-handed, and that's why I do it, because I have a way of making them understand that, you're not winning any favors with your local newspaper by costing us money so that you can have a better position in the paper. In fact, I don't even suggest it. Don't They got to come up with it on their own. Okay, and they don't always do that. I have had it happen, and I have made the exception, and I have moved an ad to another spot in the paper, maybe the back page. Okay, because I didn't lose money in the deal. All right, then it's fine, because here's what happens, guys. Our front page ads, for example, they're premium spots. They just are. Okay, they're some of the best spots in the paper, probably next to the obit page. And the truth of the matter is they lock up for a long time, and a campaign ad is not going to lock up for a long time. So at the end of the election, here we go. Now we've got to fill that spot. It doesn't really do us any good. So I think I've covered mostly everything there is. I know this video is a little long, but campaigns are very, very important. Dylan, if you will take a minute and craft a, let's say, 10 questionnaire, make it a form, okay, so that they can fill it out. Um, we need all the pertinent information. We need to know if they're incumbent or not. And then I'm going to tell you, well, I think I already did, but go to the election center, get a full list of everybody running for every position that's available. I don't even know what's all available in Hardin County. Hell, I'm not even sure what's available here because we just started bringing this subject up. I think that's about it, guys. If you have any other questions regarding advertising and campaigns or editorial campaigns, talk to me. I've done so much work in this realm. I have the answer. So you're also going to have ads that come from the election administration or center or whatever with your early voting times and all of this stuff. They're going to have quite a few of them. Danielle should be seeing most of those. There's many of those that have to run in the paper that are required. As a sales rep, I can tell you that actively reaching out and talking to these candidates, getting a feel for what they want to do and when they want to do it, will increase your monthly sales greatly, and it will help the paper. I'm going to leave you with one story. I keep a record book over here of which candidates have spent the most money in the Robertson County News to win their position. That record was set at $10,500 in 2016 to a county judge that lost her race. Okay? And we endorsed her. That's how long ago it's been. She lost. She fell victim of an accusation that her party leader made against the opposition. That accusation was proved untrue, and it cost her election. That record was broke in 2020 by my current district judge, who spent more than $23,000 to win his position. Now, he had 4 ads in the paper. He dominated the website. Didn't have a newsletter back then. Why did he spend that much money to win a job? Well, the district judge position in Robertson County covers 2 counties, making $180,000 a year per county. Not to mention his county duties, which also gave him an extra $160,000 combined. And this is per year, guys. So as you can see, he spent $23,000 to make $360,000, $380,000 a year. Okay. Do you think he cared about the $23,000? No. And with our help, he won his election spot. He won 68%, I think, and attributes all of that to us. So when it works great. Staying with your candidates as far as communicating with them, especially in their advertising. Okay, we build award-winning ads for campaigns. I have won plenty of awards for campaign ads. I've worked for Bush Jr. I've worked for several big name campaigns over the years. I still get sought out to build ads for names that you know today. So campaigns are something we do very well. Consistency consistency. I can't even begin to tell you. Do for one as we would do for all. That's it. Take notes, rewatch it, learn it. It's important, and I will be sending everyone a link to this in just a couple of minutes.